Detective Gabriel Knox studied the interrogation footage. His eyes narrowed at the figure on the screen. Even seated, hands cuffed to the metal table, Elliot Cranmer looked powerful. Not physically, his physique was unremarkable, his appearance fastidious, but intellectually, it was in the eyes, cold, calculating, measuring everything. "Play it again," Knox instructed Maya Chen, his partner at Financial Crimes Task Force, who stood beside him. The footage restarted. "Mr. Cranmer," the FBI agent began, "explain your investment strategy one more time." Cranmer sighed, as if explaining quantum physics to a child. "I structure my clients in tiers, 4 levels." His voice was eerily calm. "Everyone begins at level 4. Minimum investment, 100,000. And these tiers determine the returns?" A thin smile. "They determined everything, Agent Calloway." Knox paused the footage. "Notice that. He's not lying. That's important." Chen nodded, her dark hair pulled into a severe ponytail. "Go on." The video continued. Level 3 clients invest a minimum of 1 million. Level 2, 10 million. Cranmer leaned forward. Level 1, by invitation only, 50 million minimum. "The sweet spot," Agent Calloway said. Cranmer's face betrayed nothing. "As you say." Knox fast-forwarded through technical explanations of algorithmic trading, cryptocurrency arbitrage, and what Cranmer called mathematical inevitabilities in market fluctuations. "Stop," Knox commanded. "There." On screen, Cranmer was saying, "The beauty of the system is its perfect balance. Like a Fibonacci sequence, each number is the sum of the 2 preceding ones. My returns follow a similar pattern of mathematical elegance." "Mathematical bullshit," muttered Captain Ramirez, who had just entered the task force's Manhattan office. Guy was running a $12 billion Ponzi scheme. 14 billion, Knox corrected. "The FBI is still finding accounts." The footage jumped to Cranmer's arrest tactical teams surrounding his Gulfstream G650 on the tarmac at Teterboro. The camera captured his face as agents pulled him from the plane's stairs. Not surprise, not anger, merely inconvenience, as if delayed by unexpected traffic. 48 hours earlier, Cranmer had been at the center of what the society pages would later call the last party of the decade. Victor Orloff's 300-foot yacht, Titanium, gleamed like a massive steel predator against the night waters of the Hudson. From the West Side Highway, Knox and Chen watched through binoculars as helicopters ferried guests from Manhattan rooftops to the yacht's landing pad. "There's our target," Chen said, focusing on a sleek Bell 429 touching down. "Cranmer's arriving." Knox checked his watch. Right on schedule. 3 decks below the helipad, the yacht's main salon pulsed with electronic music. 200 of the world's wealthiest individuals mingled among ice sculptures, rare orchids, and serving staff dressed entirely in white. The bar served only 2 options: Cristal champagne or a Japanese whiskey that cost $4,000 per bottle. Cranmer moved through the crowd with practiced ease. A handshake here, a kiss on both cheeks there. Every gesture calculated, every conversation precisely timed. Knox and Chen, dressed in evening wear provided by the FBI, circulated separately. Knox's earpiece crackled. Northeast corner came Agent Calloway's voice. "Cranmer's meeting with subject Foxtrot."
Knox drifted toward the yacht's bow, where Cranmer was now deep in conversation with Antonio Vargas El Economista himself, a man whose photograph appeared in no database, but whose financial network controlled billions in cartel money. "Package delivered," Chen's voice in his ear. The microscopic tracking device she'd planted on Cranmer's phone would allow them to follow his movements for the next 72 hours. What they didn't anticipate was Cranmer noticing the surveillance. It happened during the 3rd round of champagne. Knox was engaged in conversation with a hedge fund manager, maintaining his cover as a Swiss banker, when he caught Cranmer's reflection in one of the yacht's chrome pillars. The financier was staring directly at a service door that had opened slightly, revealing a small lens. The FBI surveillance camera that wasn't supposed to be visible from the main salon. Cranmer's expression never changed, but his eyes narrowed fractionally. He took a slow sip of champagne.
then checked his watch. An unconscious tell Knox had noted during their 3-month surveillance operation. The financier's gaze swept the room once, methodically, lingering a half-second too long on Knox, then Chen near the bar, then the 2 undercover agents by the stairs. He knows. Knox subvocalized into his hidden mic the words, "Barely a whisper." "Impossible," came Agent Calloway's response. "We're clean. Trust me. He made us. All of us." Knox maintained his position, laughing at his companion's joke about cryptocurrency speculators while tracking Cranmer's movements peripherally. The target continued his conversation with Vargas for exactly 7 more minutes. Knox timed it before excusing himself with a subtle nod. At 1:47 a.m., as the party reached its peak and Orlov's personal DJ transitioned to a pulsing electronic beat that had the crowd surging toward the center of the salon, Cranmer executed his move. With practiced casualness, he placed his phone on a passing champagne tray, leaned close to the server, a young woman with striking features, and whispered something that made her smile professionally. Then he reached into his pocket, slipped what appeared to be a substantial tip into her hand, and moved unhurriedly toward a service corridor that led to the lower decks. The server continued her circuit, carrying Cranmer's phone and the FBI tracker away from its owner. "We've been made," Knox said into his wrist mic, abandoning his Swiss banker persona. "Target is mobile, moving to lower deck." He ditched the phone. "Repeat, he's dumped the tracker." "Understood," Calloway responded, tension evident in his voice. "Chen, intercept at the stern exit. Knox, take the emergency stairs. All other agents maintain position. Do not, repeat, do not break cover unless absolutely necessary." Knox moved swiftly through the crowd, navigating between inebriated billionaires and celebrities with practiced ease. He reached the service corridor just as the door was swinging closed. Through the narrowing gap, he caught a glimpse of Cranmer's tailored jacket disappearing around a corner. The corridor was stark compared to the opulence of the main salon. Utilitarian metal walls, exposed pipes overhead, rubber flooring underfoot. Knox drew his weapon, holding it low against his thigh as he moved. "I'm in pursuit," he whispered. "Lower deck service corridor, heading aft." "Copy that," Chen responded. "I'm at the stern emergency exit. No sign of target." Knox reached an intersection in the corridor and paused, listening. From the left, nothing. From the right, the faint sound of a door closing. He moved right, increasing his pace. "Knox," Chen's voice came urgently through his earpiece. Cranmer's smartphone just accessed an offshore account. 14 million Bitcoin transfer initiated. "He's got a secondary device," Knox replied. "Where's the transfer going?" "Multiple destinations. It's splitting, recombining. Our tech team can't track it." Knox reached another door, marked authorized personnel only, and eased it open. He found himself in the yacht's engine monitoring room. Empty. "He's not here," Knox reported, frustration edging his voice. "Knox!" Chen's voice was sharp now. "Portside, water level. He's on a fucking jet ski!" Knox sprinted back through the corridor, up a narrow stairwell, and emerged on the yacht's lower exterior deck. He reached the railing just in time to see a black jet ski cutting through the Hudson's dark waters. Cranmer's figure hunched over the controls, already 50 yards from the yacht and accelerating. "Target is mobile on water," Knox reported. "Need harbor patrol intercept immediately." "Harbor units deployed," Calloway responded. "ETA 4 minutes. Too long," Knox said, watching the jet ski's wake disappear into the night. "He'll be ashore in 2. Exactly 6 hours and 23 minutes later, after an all-night surveillance operation had tracked Cranmer to a safe house in Tribeca, Knox's phone vibrated with an alert from the facial recognition system they'd tapped into. "Target spotted," he told Chen, who was driving their unmarked sedan through morning traffic. Lower Manhattan subway grid. Union Square station. Entering now. "How the hell did he slip the Tribeca net?" Chen asked.
executing a sharp turn that sent horns blaring behind them. "He didn't," Knox said grimly, studying the security camera footage on his phone. "The Tribeca location was a decoy. He's been moving underground since he ditched the jet ski." "What's at Union Square?" Chen asked, weaving through taxis. Knox checked the time. "The Banking District Express. Platform 4. Leaves in 14 minutes. Chen hit the accelerator. "We're 12 minutes out in this traffic." Knox made a decision. "Drop me at the next subway entrance. You take the car, try to intercept at Fulton if we miss him at Union Square." "Splitting up is against protocol," Chen reminded him. But she was already pulling toward a subway entrance on 23rd Street. "So is losing a $14 billion financial criminal," Knox replied, checking his weapon as the car screeched to a halt. Earpieces on full communication mode. "I'll find him." Knox sprinted down the subway steps, flashing his badge at the station attendant as he vaulted over the turnstile. "NYPD! Emergency!" he shouted, ignoring the startled looks of morning commuters. His phone buzzed with an update. Facial recognition had Cranmer moving toward the southbound platform. Knox took the stairs 3 at a time, his government-issue Oxford shoes slapping against the concrete. "Excuse me, police!" he called, pushing through the dense crowd of morning commuters, their faces a blur of annoyance and concern. "Make way!" The 6 train thundered into the station, its metal-on-metal screech echoing off the grimy tile walls, drowning out the platform announcements. The rush-hour crowd surged forward, a human tide impatient to board. Chen Knox panted into his mic as he sprinted down the platform. Southbound 6 train just arrived. No visual on target yet. "Copy," came her terse reply. "I'm 2 minutes from the Astor Place station if he's heading downtown." Knox scanned the platform frantically, pushing past irritated passengers. Morning light filtered through grates in the ceiling, creating theatrical shafts of illumination in the otherwise dim station. The train's doors opened with a pneumatic hiss, and the crowd began to push forward. "Detective," called a voice behind him. "Your suspect, grey suit, blue tie." Knox spun to see a transit officer pointing toward the center of the platform where, 20 yards ahead, Elliot Cranmer was calmly boarding the middle car of the downtown 6 train. "NYPD! Stop that man!" Knox shouted, showing commuters aside with increasing desperation. A businessman with a briefcase stumbled into his path. "Watch it, asshole!" the man snapped, dropping his coffee. "Federal agent," Knox barked, sidestepping the spreading puddle of coffee, his badge held high. "Move!" Cranmer turned at the commotion, his eyes meeting Knox's across the crowded platform. For a split second, the financier's mask of calm slipped, revealing something Knox hadn't seen before: fear. Then Cranmer was moving, shoving his way deeper into the train car as the doors began to close. "Hold that train!" Knox shouted at the conductor, who either didn't hear or chose to ignore him. The doors were closing as Knox reached them, and without hesitation, he thrust his arm between them, forcing them back open with a mechanical protest and an automated announcement about train delays. He barreled into the crowded car, passengers cursing and shoving back. "Police! Everyone stay calm!" Knox shouted, scanning the packed car for his target. The familiar grey suit was nowhere to be seen. "Chen, he's not." The realization hit him as he spotted movement through the windows on the opposite side of the train. The doors there were just closing. Cranmer had crossed through the car and exited on the other side, a veteran subway maneuver that few tourists, or even most New Yorkers, would think to execute in the seconds available. Knox shouldered his way back through the closing doors, catching a glimpse of expensive leather shoes. Ferragamo, he noted automatically, disappearing up an emergency exit stairwell that should have been alarmed but clearly wasn't. "He's street level, First Avenue exit," Knox reported, taking the stairs 2 at a time, his heart pounding not from the exertion, but from the growing certainty that Cranmer was always 2 steps ahead, had been from the beginning. "Copy that," Chen responded, her voice tight with concentration. "I've rerouted. Coming up First Avenue now." When Knox emerged into the morning sunlight, the roar of a motorcycle engine told him everything. A black Ducati Panigale the 5.4. Matte finish, no plates, aftermarket exhaust. Shot through traffic, Cranmer hunched over its handlebars, a black helmet already in place. The motorcycle accelerated with surgical precision between two delivery trucks, demonstrating riding skills no financial executive should possess. Suspect on motorcycle, eastbound on 14th Street, Knox shouted into his radio, sprinting after the rapidly disappearing bike. All units converge. Subject is heading east on a black Ducati, no plates. The response came not from his radio, but from the screech of tires behind him. Chen pulled up on her own Ducati, an FBI issue 1098. "Get on!" she shouted, tossing him a helmet. Knox swung his leg over the seat, and Chen gunned the engine before he could fully secure his grip around her waist. They shot into traffic, weaving between yellow cabs and delivery trucks. Cranmer took a hard right onto Avenue A, nearly clipping a delivery van. Chen followed, the Ducati's engine screaming as she twisted the throttle to its limit. "He's good," she shouted over her shoulder. "Too good for a financial guy," Knox agreed. The chase continued east to the FDR Drive, where Cranmer shot north at over 90 miles per hour. Morning traffic was building, forcing both motorcycles to slalom between lanes. Chen's earpiece crackled. Air support inbound. 30 seconds. The rhythmic thump of rotor blades grew louder, and an NYPD helicopter appeared overhead, its spotlight finding Cranmer's Ducati. Cranmer glanced up, then made his move. A tire-shredding turn onto the exit for the Williamsburg Bridge. "He's heading for Brooklyn," Chen shouted. The bridge's narrow lanes gave Cranmer little room to maneuver. The helicopter stayed with him, its spotlight never wavering. Halfway across the bridge, Cranmer suddenly cut hard, stopping his motorcycle sideways. While Chen was forced to brake to avoid collision, Cranmer abandoned his bike and sprinted to the bridge's edge. "He's going to jump!" Knox shouted, dismounting and drawing his weapon. But Cranmer wasn't jumping to his death. A maintenance platform 2 levels below provided a perfect landing spot. He dropped, rolled, and disappeared into the bridge's skeletal understructure. The helicopter swooped lower, but the bridge's metal framework made pursuit impossible from the air. "We lost him," Chen said, holstering her weapon. Knox shook his head. "We know exactly where he's going." 24 hours later, Teterboro Airport hummed with the quiet efficiency that comes with catering to the ultra-wealthy. A light rain slicked the tarmac, creating mirror-like reflections of runway lights that stretched into infinity. Private jets worth hundreds of millions lined the apron, their polished exteriors gleaming even in the overcast afternoon. 3 miles from the main terminal, in a nondescript utility van parked on an access road, Detective Knox hunched over 4 high-definition monitors. The van's interior was a maze of technology, communication equipment, surveillance gear, and enough computing power to run a small tech company. The air smelled of coffee and electronics. "Target confirmed," said the technician beside him, a young FBI agent with the focused intensity of someone who'd spent too many hours staring at screens. "Gulfstream G650, tail number N628EF, scheduled for departure in 17 minutes. Flight plan filed for Grand Cayman." Knox nodded, his eyes never leaving the center screen, which showed thermal imaging of a figure moving inside the terminal's private lounge. "That's him." Cranmer's routine is pathological. 3 espressos before any flight. Chen sat in the back of the van, checking her Glock for the 3rd time. "Tactical teams in position?" "Affirmative," came the response through Knox's earpiece. "Bravo team on the west perimeter, Charlie covering the hangar approach. Delta's embedded with ground crew." The rain intensified, drumming on the van's roof. On the screens, Knox watched as Cranmer finished his espresso, checked his watch. A Patek Philippe worth more than Knox's annual salary, and gathered his briefcase. A young flight attendant appeared, umbrella in hand, ready to escort him to the waiting jet. "He's moving," Knox said, an edge of anticipation in his voice. "Remember, we need him and everything he's carrying, especially that briefcase." Chen moved to the van's side door, ready. "You think he suspects?" Knox's eyes narrowed as he studied Cranmer's body language on screen. He's too confident. That's always been his weakness. On the tarmac, the Gulfstream's engines began their warm-up sequence, a high-pitched whine audible even from their position. The sleek private jet, $65 million of aeronautical engineering, sat like a predator ready to spring, its white fuselage emblazoned with a subtle geometric pattern that echoed the Fibonacci sequence Cranmer was so fond of referencing. The flight attendant escorted Cranmer across the wet tarmac, her umbrella a small shield against the intensifying rain. Behind them, 2 security personnel carried additional luggage. Hard-sided cases that Knox knew contained at least part of Cranmer's escape plan. Rare coins, bearer bonds, and physical cryptocurrency keys. "Execute," Knox said quietly into his mic. The response was immediate and overwhelming. From every direction, tactical teams converged. 2 blacked-out Suburbans screeched to a halt, cutting off the path to the aircraft. The hangar doors rolled open, revealing more agents. From beneath the Gulfstream itself, ground crew members shed their maintenance uniforms, drawing weapons. In the surveillance van, Knox watched the arrest unfold on multiple screens, each showing a different angle of the perfectly choreographed operation. Cranmer froze, momentarily, then slowly raised his hands. His face, captured in high-definition close-up, showed no surprise, only a fleeting calculation, as if running probabilities in his head. "Right where we knew he'd be," Knox said, a grim satisfaction in his voice. The rain washed across the camera lenses, creating a cinematic quality to the scene. "The crypto wallets?" Chen asked, watching as agents secured Cranmer's briefcase. 14 billion. All traceable now. Knox pointed to a secondary screen displaying account numbers. But the real prize is this. The screen showed what had been found in Cranmer's briefcase, a thumb drive containing every transaction he'd ever processed for Antonio Vargas and 7 other Level 1 clients. Knox played the final segment of the interrogation for Captain Ramirez. Agent Calloway slid a photograph across the table. "Recognize him?" Cranmer's composure faltered, just a microsecond. "Should I?" Antonio Vargas, known in certain circles as El Economista, drug cartel financial engineer, your Level 1 client. "I have many clients. This one's special. DEA's been after him for years. Treasury too." Calloway leaned in. "Here's your situation, Mr. Cranmer. You're looking at 150 years minimum. Unless I help you get Vargas." Cranmer's voice was flat. The agent nodded. "Your choice. But I should mention, Vargas knows we have you." Knox stopped the video, and that's our opening. Chen raised an eyebrow. "You think Cranmer will cooperate?" "He already is. But there's something else." Knox's fingers tapped commands on his computer. "Look at this." The screen displayed a sequence of purchases. 3 mansions in the Hamptons, 5 Ferraris registered to different shell companies, a yacht in Monaco, a private island off Belize. "Cranmer's purchases?" Ramirez asked. Vargas's, purchased through Cranmer's network. But here's the thing. Knox highlighted transaction dates. Every major purchase happened exactly 3 days after significant transfers from other clients. He wasn't just stealing from clients to pay other clients, he was skimming systematically for Vargas. A Ponzi scheme within a Ponzi scheme, Chen realized. Precisely. And the numbers. Knox displayed a spreadsheet. Perfect Fibonacci ratios in the transfers. It's a signature. "So what's our play?" Ramirez asked. Knox's thin lips formed something close to a smile. "We're going to use Cranmer to catch Vargas. But Vargas isn't our ultimate target." "No?" Look at the client list again. Level 1 had 9 members. We know about Vargas. But what about the others? Knox highlighted 8 names, each linked to shell companies, numbered accounts, and assets worth billions. These aren't just rich clients, they're the architects. Understanding dawned on Chen's face. Cranmer wasn't running the scheme. He was the front man, the mathematical savant with the Ferrari collection and the media profile. The perfect distraction. Knox zoomed in on one name. And this person, the first level 1 client, is the real mastermind. On the screen, Senator Raymond Cartwright, chairman of the banking committee. The perfect crime, Knox continued. Use a legitimate financial genius as your puppet. Let him build the structure. Let him take the fall. But they didn't count on one thing, Chen said. No, Knox agreed. They didn't count on Cranmer's perfect memory and his meticulous records. The forensic specialist pointed to a final piece of evidence, a hidden file on Cranmer's secured cloud storage. Inside, detailed recordings of every conversation with every level 1 client, dating back 7 years. Client privacy, Knox murmured. As it turns out, Mr. Cranmer never believed in it. 40 stories above Manhattan, in his penthouse office, Senator Cartwright's phone buzzed with a message. The text contained only a Fibonacci sequence, followed by a single word. Checkmate.